Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Lauren Weinberg, psychologist turned the becoming coach, because we're all always in the process of becoming. I specialize in women's empowerment and holistic well being.
Hi, I'm Melanie McLeod, and I am a professional coach. I specialize in transformational and spiritual coaching. And welcome to Talking Transformation Live.
Where it is always real talk in real time, nothing rehearsed here for real people, because that's you and that's us. And given how real it all is, we're showing up today live with little bits of allergies, little bits of a cold. So if we're not quite sounding ourselves, we're still so happy to be here with you. Hi, Mel.
Always, always happy. And those of you who are entrepreneurs, there's no sick days. You just got to keep it going.
That's right, you push through. And yet at the same time, it is important to be able to stand up for what you need in any situation. And whether that's at work or at home, to have your needs met or your desires fulfilled. That's what we're talking about today is your ability and the need, how it can support you to really learn to feel comfortable standing up for yourself.
And that's a huge topic, Lauren. I've seen a lot of people, even recently, where something happened and they were like, oh, this wasn't what I was supposed to get, or this wasn't what I ordered, and I was like, okay, well, let them know, no, that's okay, it's okay. And no, it's not okay. That is not what you ordered. And I can tell you, yesterday I had a person that wasn't very happy with me, but the menu said macaroni and cheese, and I ordered macaroni and cheese, and what I got was a pasta and cheese, but it was a shaped pasta that just was not one of my favorites. And I'm eating this pasta and I'm going, no, my brain was set on the macaroni and cheese with the luscious cheese sauce. And I got this. And so I said to her, excuse me, but this isn't macaroni, this is pasta. She says, well, we use whatever noodles available. And I said, but that's not what your menu says. It says macaroni and cheese. And I really don't like this. So I'm going to need you to take it back. So she took it back. I got a little half of an eye roll, but I'm not paying for something that I didn't order.
So funny because this is, I think, the most accessible kind of way that standing up for yourself comes up. So many people have stories they can tell you about sending something back in a restaurant or not sending something back in a restaurant. I know, like, I remember hearing this on talk radio quite a number of times, where they'll pose the question, do you send something back in a restaurant if it's not right? Whether it's something you ordered and it came out incorrectly, or if it's like you're saying, just not what you expected, do you send something back? And I'm going to throw that out to our audience. If anybody is here live, welcome. We're so happy that you're here. Please feel free to drop a comment in the chat so that we know that you're with us. And if you're listening later, feel free to answer this question. Do you return things in a restaurant if they don't come out right? And why or why not?
And I think it's really about how you send it back to, because when you are nasty to people, you're going to get nasty back. And a lot of people don't want to send things back because they're afraid that they're going to spit in their food and that sort of thing. And I understand that those things happen, but usually it happens when people have an attitude and people are responding to an attitude. Because I had it's funny because I don't eat out very often, but this week I had two occurrences of actually eating out. And the other occurrence, they gave me a grilled chicken, and this goes to show you that I probably should not be eating out because every time it did this week, it did not come out right. But the grilled chicken sandwich was so char grilled that all you tasted was burnt black char taste in your mouth. And I tried to eat that. I was like, I can't eat this. And when I said to the woman, I'm sorry, but this is so burnt. And I was pulling off burnt, like it's so burnt, I cannot eat this. And she said, I am so sorry. Would you like something else? So I ordered some chicken wings and they gave me my order, wrapped it up for me. And then when I got my bill, they didn't charge me for anything except for one drink that I had gotten. They didn't charge
Oh,
me for
that is
anything. They took
lovely.
everything off the bill. And so that made me feel really good because, I stood up for myself, but at the same time, the waitress was empowered to make it better.
And she's probably empowered by the facility at which she works as well to make it better and make sure that the
Well,
customer
I
is
saw her
happy.
do it by herself, and I saw her walk over to the manager and say something to him. And then he was like, "Oh," and he showed her how to do it. So I could see that she was stepping up about handling it.
And that brings up so many issues. Like you said, this is a big conversation and it has layers and layers to it. It's not just as simple as saying, stand up for your needs. We get messages all the time. I think of people like, why don't you send something back if you're paying? And we all know how expensive everything is these days. If you're paying good money in a restaurant and something doesn't come out right, or if it's not what you asked for, why wouldn't you send it back? And I think it goes back sometimes to a lot of the messages that we had growing up, right? We're all a conglomeration of all the experiences and all the messages that we've gotten. And so many people can relate to this concept that when they try to speak up for themselves, somebody shut them down. Or you're told, never make waves, don't make waves.
Yeah.
There are so many different messages that go into feeling empowered to stand up for yourself. And if you look it up, if you look up what does empowerment mean, it talks about confidence and it talks about having opportunities that are created, that you create or that are created for you to allow
Mhm.
that confidence to build. But I think, and I really have never heard anybody else say it this way, but to me, and it's a big part of what I do, right? I call myself an empowerment coach. To me, empowerment is about feeling deserving. And I think when you feel deserving of having your needs met, then you're willing to show up and ask politely. Like you said, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
But you can advocate for yourself politely without a defensiveness that
Yeah.
allows somebody else to hear you.
And
And
this is true, and this is something that is affecting us across the board in so many ways. I can tell you that even today, a woman is making 81 cents on a man's dollar. But I was in corporations and hired a lot of folks for a lot of years. I've never had a woman negotiate. Whatever I offered them, they took it. And every
wow,
man that I've ever interviewed never took the first thing I offered, always negotiated. Most companies don't offer their best first because they're expecting there be some negotiations. And every woman I've spoke to said, "Well, if I don't accept that, they might give the job to somebody else. I don't want to lose the job." And I can
yeah,
tell you that I worked with a client recently, and we've been working together for a while now. And she recently negotiated her salary. She said, "I just got offered this job. They offered me this." And I said, "I want this." And she said, "And they gave it to me." I said, "Of course they did. They wanted you."
well, and that's the piece that I think really trips people up sometimes. Like, what? They really wanted me? Like, I can actually ask for what I want because they want to work with me, right? And that is a bit of a confidence thing, right? But to me, confidence is really about trusting yourself that you could figure it out. But it's also an empowerment thing that you are deserving of wanting what other people have, of wanting more than people are offering you. Because truly, and especially in business, people are going to offer less because if they could save some money, if they could save
They're
some,
going to. Absolutely.
or get you to work more than you had agreed upon, or what they're going to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell people, if they don't hire you because you didn't accept the first thing they offered,
It's
oh
not their
well,
company.
because somebody else is going to value you and you'll get a better offer. So is it this or something better?
Absolutely. So there are ways to stand up for yourself, right? And we talked about having like a non-defensive attitude, not being pushy, be kind,
And
right?
look,
No,
be kind. Let's say that again. Be kind. That's the biggest problem when people are so nasty and they're cursing at people. What that beep is this beep? Take this beep back. Like, no, we're not beeping, okay?
Bleep, 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 bleep. Yeah, but there is such a difference between being empowered and being entitled. They're very different. And it's when you have that sense of entitlement, that my needs supersede your needs. That's a whole different conversation. But what we're talking about here is everybody is deserving of being treated with respect, of being listened to, of having their needs met, of being equitably treated, right? Like you're saying, the men and the women, that we have such a different viewpoint. And historically, oh my gosh, Melanie, when we pull those numbers apart, 81 cents on the dollar is really true for most white women. When you start adding in women of color, that number goes down dramatically.
Absolutely.
And as we talk about people with disabilities, that number goes down even more dramatically.
Yeah.
So the truth is everybody is deserving of standing up for their rights and being treated equitably.
100%.
And so be kind, but also be clear. And I always say clear is kind, right? When you don't have to have people guessing what it is that you need. Like if you're saying there's too much on my plate,
Yeah.
Be clear about it. I can handle this, but then I'm full. I can't handle this. Can we pass that to somebody else? Whether it's in your home or at work.
A lot of, and I've seen this, a lot of women, and even in relationships, they like, he should know what I wanted. He should know. Well, why should he know? Do you know what he needs? Are you doing everything that it's in his mind? You aren't. And he isn't. And neither of you should be. The bottom line is if you want something, ask for it. And don't get mad at somebody because they didn't give you something you didn't ask for.
We almost assume that if somebody loves us enough, that means they're going to be a mind reader.
Yeah.
And that's not true. It's upon us, frankly, to, for lack of a better word, train our partners to be responsive to our needs, but that burden is on us to communicate those.
And I don't, and the word train for me is a big issue because I don't want one training me. And so I'm not training anybody else. I have to respect that person as much as I want them to respect me. And if that person has in their mind of how a woman's supposed to be, and they're mad because I'm not living up to it, that's a problem. Because know me, you know who I am. And if there's something specific you need or want, you can ask me and I can tell you, yes, I can, or no, I cannot. And it needs to be the same thing the other way around. If a man doesn't cook or clean or do whatever, that's what you got. Don't go with that person and say, I'm training you to do all these things the way they're not a dog. We're not training.
So what is the better word? Because I said for lack of a better word, and I put it in air quotes. And I agree, it's not a great word, but it's about communicating, right?
Communicating is important. It's agreeing, it's compromising and talking and agreeing to compromise on some things. Both parties agree to compromise on. That's very different than I'm going to make this man do these things exactly the way I want him to do them. And that's a problem a lot of people want to happen in their relationships.
Well, and again, it gets back to that entitlement versus empowerment, right? And it's sort of that golden rule, like treat others how you want to be treated, but treat yourself how you treat others as well. I think that we often, especially as women, we're so used to putting other people's needs first and letting our needs take a back seat. And what we're talking about here is standing up for your needs, standing tall in what you need in any given moment to help you feel heard, respected, strong, capable. Yes. Like it all goes into a package of communicating clearly, with kindness, confidently, and then standing your ground as you negotiate.
And giving to yourself what you need as well. I mean, a lot of times they're just waiting for someone to do everything for them. Why? If you want something, give
You
it
got
to yourself. It's not, I've seen a lot of people say, women especially, they're like, oh, I feel so sorry for that person who's sitting there eating lunch by themselves. I feel sorry for that person that goes to the movies by themselves. And I'm going, why? Why are you feeling sorry for that person? They want to see the movie and they didn't let their friends keep them from seeing it because their friends couldn't go. They wanted to see it, they went and saw it. And that's how I am. If I want to do something, I'm doing it. I'm not going to not do something because the crowd couldn't do it with me.
But it's that disconnect. And I think this is a big piece of it. Examining your feelings that are arising when you're in a certain situation, looking at what is this stuff? What am I truly responding to? Right? Is this really me standing up for myself, or am I just feeling taken advantage of? Because they're almost two different things, and one can be proactive, but one is a little bit more reactive.
Yeah.
So standing up and before you get to the point where you're feeling taken advantage of.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing. There shouldn't be a whole lot of anger around it. We talked a lot about these topics of anger because people stuff and stuff and stuff. And then when they stand up for themselves, it comes out very volatile.
As we're both making exaggerated movements with our hands. It's true. It just pops out.
That's why, it's important in that moment to just say, hey, I'm going to handle this situation right now. I'm not going to let it fester. I'm not going to let all the emotions bottle up. If there's something I need to say, I need to say it. Then you can say it calmly. But when it becomes a thing where it's over and over and over, and after a while, you're just so angry at this person because this is just stupid and ridiculous. And then when you go to stand up for yourself, you become an attacking person. And that's never a good thing.
Of course. And there's an insecure feeling. There's a lack of trust there when you're having that kind of reaction, right? And to build trust, it is about clear communication. So just remember, clear is kind. And I'm so curious to see how people have handled a situation where they've had to stand up for themselves. I know that it's happened for me so many times personally. And I know sometimes it's easier almost to stand up for other people than it is for yourself.
Yes, it is.
I sometimes fall into that trap. I will stand up and I will be vocal and I will be the lone voice for somebody who I see as not being in that situation of standing up for themselves. But that's not necessarily empowering for the other person as well.
It definitely is not.
Part of standing up for yourself is helping others rise along with you, so that everybody's on a level playing field. So if you, as or listeners, if you've had a situation where you've had to stand up for yourself, how have you handled it? How was the outcome? Do you wish you might have done something differently? And how can you learn from that? Because that's life. We're always learning from the moments that have come before.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. So with that said, we're going to wrap up for today. And if you want to reach out to either Lauren or myself, you can reach us at talkingtransformationlive@gmail.com or at our respective websites. And please make sure that you reach out, make comments, subscribe if you haven't already, and ask your friends to join.
And Melanie has my back. You see, we have each other's back equally because she is talking until I remembered to put that slide up there. So thanks, Mel. That's a good friend. That's a lot of trust right there.
So you
so
can
nice
reach
to be with everybody.
Yes. So you can reach Lauren at lastingchangewellness.com and myself at coachesolutions.com. And we hope you have a wonderful week.
We'll see you next time at Talking Transformation Live. Take care.
Bye-bye.